Hello there. This is our presentation from Data to Decisions a Smarter Way with Soarvo. My name is Richard Gorshwin and I am the Senior Product Manager, and I'll be taking you through the presentation. So the challenge we see at the moment is people are capturing huge amounts of data. It's fragmented across systems. People need to use specialist software and hardware to be able to access that information, and teams struggle to collaborate around that data and share it across businesses and with clients. We believe that there is a better way, and we've developed a platform that we think can answer those challenges. So this time last year, we launched Soarvo as our data sharing platform. Here is a reminder of exactly what the platform does. So we've built a cloud platform accessible in any standard web browser that allows you to view all of that data together in a single view. So taking a drone ortho, being able to add on top of that a DWG of a CAD topo survey, maybe adding point cloud data on top of there and viewing it in 3D, or a BIM model, IFC model, and bringing that together all in a single place to view together. Or maybe it's a terrestrial laser scan where I can click on a station setup, isolate an individual point cloud, zoom in and see that data from the station setup, and also including the panorama images from the scanner as well. Being able to take a high resolution model that's been captured from a drone and being able to do a visual inspection on that data, but also being able to click anywhere in that model and access the raw imagery from the drone, so I can really see the detail that maybe isn't visible in a 3D mesh. Or finally, something as simple as taking a video from a drone, overlaying it on top of the orthomosaic, and be able to play that video and see exactly the route of the drone as it was flying, and also exactly where that camera was pointing at the time. So we can start to see data from the video in the model and be able to identify issues or defects that you need to send somebody out to site and do some verification work on. So that's bringing together that data in one shared environment. Doesn't matter whether it's 2D or 3D data, we can bring it together, share it, and make it accessible for everyone. This year, we really wanted to follow up and look at the value that we can extract from this operational data, how we can capture inspections so you can look through the data identify issues or things that you need extra detail on, and be able to report on those back with follow-up references. So this meant bringing a set of GIS workflows on top of the data hosting and sharing into the platform. So we looked at the 5 main things that people really do with GIS data. So they want to make it look right and show it to somebody. They want to find stuff that they care about without digging through and being able to find it easily. Basic spatial analysis, so answering location-based questions within a few clicks. Some data editing and cleansing to fix the messy bits in the data so the data can be trusted and used. And then being able to share that data with the insights to all people that you wish to without them needing to install additional software on top of that. So this brings us to the demo for today. So we're going to try and look at those 5 things that we feel that most people want to use from a platform, and we're going to use some more open source data that can be found on the internet that you could download yourselves and try and do this workflow in your platform that you're using at the moment. We're using streetlights today, but this could be any workflow for utilities, for environmental inspections, for gully management and things like that. It really doesn't matter what the asset is. They will all work in exactly the same way that I'm going to show you here for these streetlights. So what we're going to do is take a brand new, completely blank system, go to the standard URL and log in, and we're going to create a new project that we're going to use to load data into. We can make sure that it's set up with a OSGB coordinate system. I can give the location a name. I'm going to ask the map to open up centered around York, because this is where the data we're going to use is from. And then I can go to that project, open it up, and the map will open centered on that location that I've just picked. So what we could do now is go and take a CSV file that we've downloaded from the web and just upload that directly into the system. So that will take a few seconds to process. It doesn't matter if it's a CSV, whether it's a shapefile, whether it's a geodatabase, they will all work in exactly the same way. That will take a few seconds to process now. So it's done. I can just refresh the screen now, and you can see that we have loaded in all of those streetlights and we have their location. We can't see those very clearly against that map, so let's just go and style them a bit better so they're more visible against the aerial imagery, which is better, so I can now see those. And maybe for traditional workflows, we want to use a different type of map as the background image. So what we can do now is go and click on the background maps, choose maybe open source mapping data, and be able to see that, and that gives me a better visualization of that data. If I click Save View now, every time I open this location up, it will open with the lights styled in that way with that background map up. Maybe I want to use different mapping, so I can choose the Ordnance Survey data as to bring in over WMS. So we can just import a config file that has my details in for my OS account. And now we're streaming data live from the Ordnance Survey servers over WMS, and you can see that mapping loaded in there now. I save that view, and now we have this available, so we can see Ordnance Survey master map. We're using Cesium as our mapping window here. So that means that what we can do is actually show data in 3D as well as 2D, so not typical with a GIS system. So being able to move that data around in a 3D environment, which includes 2D mapping as well as the data. But now we've got it in 3D, maybe it's better to look at it with some 3D data, so we can turn the Google 3D data on and be able to move around that. And I can click on the point and still see all of that asset data for that point within the model. We'll turn that off now, go back to our traditional map and back to 2D, and there we are. So maybe the next thing we would want to do is style this data in a way that gives us visual references. So just by clicking generate attributes, what that's done is automatically read through the CSV and selected some fields that we can be able to style data on. So if I go to Ward, it's automatically found 3 different values in that Ward field. So we can now style it by those and see those individually. And if I go to that styling option in my layers now, I can go and turn on and turn off different wards and just isolate those individual ward lights and then bring those all back on together. Or we could go and choose a different field to be able to do that. Maybe this unit type, so we can see what street lights, what's Belisha beacons, etc. Save that away, and then we can go and restyle that all by a different attribute. We can look at those in 3D. I could turn the street lights off, so we can look at all of the asset infrastructure that isn't street lights available in here. And then turning that back on, we could decide that we want to go back to the ward view. So I can just click on the menu, change that back to be ward. And again, if I save this away now, every time I open this up or I want somebody to view this data, this is exactly how they will see this data as they first open the map up. Talking of sharing data, to be able to share this map with somebody, all I need to do is go into the user management section, create a user. It's always named users with an email address. We don't have open hyperlinks within the system for security reasons. And then we can go and choose the access that I want this user to have, from viewer to viewer up to full project manager, to be uploading data into the system. Once I've created that user and got them in there, they get an email, asked to log in and create a secure password for themselves. And once they've done that, either at project level or individual location level, I can say, I want to share that data with that user. Once they log into the system now, they will get exactly this view, but only the data I've made available to them. So the next thing on the list is being able to do some spatial analysis and data cleansing. So we can see we've just dialed the lights back to how they were originally. Now we've created this new inspection workflow button, which is doing a number of things. Firstly, this is now creating me an inspection form to go with these street lights so that we can then take this data out into the field and do a routine inspection on that. And further down the line, you will see it's also created some dashboards for me to report on those. So the only thing we need to do is go in and choose what issue type it is. So for streetlights, I can go and choose 3 or 4 different types of issue that could happen when I'm inspecting streetlights, but this works for any workflow. So if we have different things for inspecting manholes or trees or anything like that, we can go in and set those up. So I've given the user 4 options now that if they need to report a defect. And then what we can do is create a new feature, which is just going to be a route. So I'm going to pick a route to walk along and inspect this data. We'll just make it red so it stands out on the map. And what I can do is just click and throw a random route down across this map and through this data. Save that away. So what I want to do now is to be able to do a spatial query that says, pick me all of the streetlights that fall within 10 meters of that route. So I can turn the selection panel on. You can see we've got the streetlight layer activated. So I could go and filter a query on any data within here. You can see at the moment we've got no records of 3,906 selected. So what I'll do is I'll say I want to choose streetlights within 10 meters of the line, select the line, and say find me all of those records that fall within that distance. You can see now we've selected 71 records and you can see them highlighted on the map. And then what we can do is send these out to a mobile device for someone to go into the field and do an inspection on this set of data. So I can assign to user, we'll send that to the mobile device and click the button, and you can see that's now assigned out to that particular user. So let's jump to the mobile app. The mobile app is compatible with iOS or Android devices. We can log into the system. We see exactly the data that we have in the account that's available to me. I can open that up and you can see we see exactly the same map with the same sets of data that are available for me to use. We can go to our mapping layers and refresh those. And because we set up that WMS layer with the Ordnance Survey master map data, that's now streaming through without any need to assign data out. And then we can go and show filters and say, I only want to see the data that's been assigned to me to be able to go and do an inspection on. And we can see that now filtered down by those 71 streetlights. So we can go and carry out an inspection. So click on the record, click inspect. It will bring me up my inspection form that we created from that workflow button. And if everything's okay, I can just say yes. That closes that form down immediately and allows us to do very quick inspection work. And you can see it's graying out that record, so I know I've already been and inspected that record. Now, this next record, let's say there's going to be a defect on here. So we'll say all okay, no. We'll say that there is an issue, which is other. We'll choose how quickly we need this to be fixed by. So we'll choose 7 days. So it's automatically generated me the target date of when this resolution needs to happen by. And we can go and take a photograph of the issue. So because I'm not actually out on site, we'll just use my little Lego man and we'll say that he's fallen over. And we'll say that the status of this issue is now being reported. And we can just save that away and carry on with the inspection work. This data automatically syncs back to the web portal. If we've got an internet connection in the field, it will do it immediately. If not, it will just queue the data, and as soon as I get an internet connection, it will send that data back. And what that's done is created some dashboards for me to be able to report on these inspections. So I can see a general dashboard. I can go to the inspection management dashboard that has been created as part of this workflow. And I can see the 68 still not assigned but not inspected, with just 3 records that have been recently inspected. And we can click on those and see all those inspections. Click on an individual record and pull up the details to see how that inspection has gone. But more importantly, we want to look at the one that the issue was reported on. So I can go to the issue management one. We can see we have a single record that has been classed as reported. I can click on it. I can open that record up, see all of the information about the issue that's been recorded on site, along with the photograph to do that. And then to resolve that issue, we can then select it and assign that out to either a different user, maybe it's a contractor who's going to go and do the repair work for me, or maybe it's the same person who reported the issue in the first place. It really doesn't matter how you assign that data back out into the field. But once we're back in the field, I can then go and click on that record again, choose the inspection, edit it, and we'll change the issue status from being reported to being resolved. We can take a photograph of the work we've done. So the Lego man is now standing up. And you can see the resolve date has been automatically recorded, and I can just record a comment against that to say what work has been carried out. And that issue is now resolved. So when we go back into the dashboards and I go to the issue management, we can say we've got no reported now, but we have got one resolved issue. I can click on that record, select it, see all of the information about the original defect, but also we now have a resolve section that I can open up and see the resolution of the issue and all of the information about that. So I can either sign that off and say it's been complete, or if I'm not happy, I can then reactivate that issue and send it back out to someone to do some more follow-up work on. So it's that complete workflow of inspection, being able to assign data out to get it fixed, and then getting that resolution back and confirmation that the work's been carried out. In summary, this is a nice overview of that complete workflow that we've just gone through from end to end. So bringing data together, uploading that data into the system, being able to style it in a particular way that's meaningful to the user, being able to go out into the field and capture data no matter what it is, any asset of any type, adding structured information to it, and then being able to create those clear traceable records and dashboards for reporting on defects and the resolution. And seeing that in that nice, simple view. That's a complete overview of the system. I hope you found that useful. If you have any questions at all, then please visit soarvo.com and get in touch with us. Thank you.